And here we are for the Housing with Love Walk, Bob Murray and Robin Wilkinson. And this is a yearly thing and a fundraiser for?
It's for housing programs throughout the Cape. There's 11 agencies that participate in this walk. This is the 19th walk. As I tell people, it was much easier when I was 53 to do this. Something about the aging process that's unkind.
We're just talking about that before we came on the air.
But we do it every year. Last year, the walk raised $282,400 Cape-wide.
That's amazing. What's the number again?
$282,400.
That is totally amazing.
So people say to me, well, why do you do this every year? And my first response is, you can't leave that much money on the table.
If it's out there, you have to
There's
get
that
it.
much money that's going to Cape families from one end of the Cape to the other. You've got to do whatever you can to keep that going.
Right.
And this year more than ever, with the state and federal budget cuts around the issues of homelessness and housing, the private donation the importance of the private donation has just jumped exponentially. And to prove my point with that, this is the first year ever that the Cape Cod Times is doing a needy fund drive in the summer, on top of their winter drive.
Right.
So it shows you the terrific importance,
yeah.
the extent of the problem and the importance of the private donor.
Yeah, and you know, it's very easy for people, oh, they live on Cape Cod, but sorry, look around you, right?
Right. I mean, many of the people who like that bartender or that waitress in the restaurant or that store clerk that's waiting on them today are looking for help with their housing in December. And so a lot of the people who are here in the summertime and think this is just such an idyllic place, and it is, but there's poverty here, there's hard times here, and I tell people that it probably impacts kids more than anything. And particularly when you rip a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old from their house and put them in a shelter or put them in a motel room, that scar stays with that kid for a long, long time.
Well, you really have to put yourself in that. Can you imagine if you had to do that with your children? That would be devastating to me. I know that, you know.
I think that we can all, as humans, can endure much easier if we know there's a time certain then it's over. I say, people say, why do you do this walk in the summertime, the hottest week of the year? Why do you walk with blisters? Why do you do it? Well, part of this walk is designed to be difficult because the problem is difficult and you need to be reminded of that. But we know we're going home every night. We know at the end of the week it's over for us.
Yeah.
But when a family goes homeless, they have no idea how long they're going to be in that situation. And that's a burden that's doubles the problem, because the burden of just being homeless is tough. But not knowing how long it's going to last just compounds the problem.
You know, tell me the mechanics of the fundraising. How do the funds come up? People donate?
Yeah.
Time? What?
Well, Robin's been a great supporter of this for years. He walks with us. I'll let him tell you how he gets involved and why, and how he raises his money as a walker.
Okay.
First of all, as an introduction, let me just say that I'm part of the representation from Harwich, and what makes this a meaningful experience is that, as Bob said, it's a Cape-wide walk, and each community has to step up and support housing across the Cape. Our particular focus specifically has to do with Harwich, and that's why on July 13th we would like to see as many people from Harwich show up at the schoolhouse parking lot. Now, if you don't know where the schoolhouse parking lot is, that's where the Chamber of Commerce building is. And so we meet there, we'll meet there. nice to show up around 11:15. And what makes it interesting is, given that we've regionalized Harwich and Chatham in terms of the Monomoy Regional School District, is that walkers will come to the schoolhouse parking lot from the Holy Redeemer Church in Chatham. So at that point, some of the people from Chatham will stop, and some of them will continue with us here in Harwich onto the First Church in Harwich Center, and so, where there will be a terrific lunch. And I'll tell you what will happen at that lunch when I get back to Bob. But it's very simple. You can go on the website now, the Hetch website. It's totally been revised by our new executive director, Pam Parmakian. And you can make donations directly on the website. You can use PayPal. And so you can see some of the other activities that Hetch is involved with. But the fundraising is that you can sponsor. For example, you can sponsor an individual. This year, First Church, I believe, they have a sponsor. The Pine Oaks 3 is sponsoring Glenn Lowry, who is the chairman of the board of Pine Oaks 3. So they've all gotten together and are giving their support to Glenn as a celebrity walker. They're a celebrity walker, there are sponsors. You can see in the program that we hear, the Housing with Love Walk, that Tom Peterson from Peterson Realty, who is also a member of the Hetch Board, is a benefactor. Those, for example, one time I was a celebrity walker and people put in donations to support me as a celebrity walker. I, to this day, try to figure out why I was a celebrity walker, but I don't want to break my arm patting myself on the back. But the whole idea is it's a great event because you gather at the parking lot, you walk from the schoolhouse parking lot to the First Church, and it's just a spirit of community that we all share. Bob, I'm going to switch back to
Well, we go and we film that luncheon every year, and you can feel that spirit. Let me tell you something. It really is there, and the people are just like together with it, you know. That's your doing, I think.
Well, I'm not so sure we can take credit for that. But I think people like two things about this walk and the agencies that participate. They know that these agencies aren't spending a ton of money on administration. So, you know, if not 100% of the dollar you give to this, over 90% of it goes to the issue, goes to the client. And that's huge. So you're not losing a lot of your donation into administrative costs. Most of the agencies for this, and I know Hetch does this, and I know my program in Falmouth does this, we absorb all the administrative costs, and whatever comes in for this goes to the clients. And that's important. You know, one of the agencies in Boston who deals with homelessness did an interview on YouTube with about 11 or 12 kids who were in shelters. And they ranged in age from maybe like 5 or 6 to about 11. So there was a pretty good age range, and they were both boys and girls. But the one common theme that all of them said in their interview was, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. So that's what I mean when you rip a kid from their house, from their home, and they put them in a shelter or a motel room. That becomes a scar that stays with that kid for a long time. One of my most favorite remembrances of this work was back in 1993 and 4 when Hetch was taking families out of motels and putting them in apartments. We had moved this family out of a motel that had been in a motel for quite some time. And they had a little boy who was probably 3.5 or so. And he was, and we helped with the move because they didn't have money for a truck or anything. So a bunch of the Hetch guys helped with the move. Anyway, we have this empty apartment that we just get to with the truck. And this little kid is running from room to room, trying to get anybody's attention who will listen to him, because he wants to show them his new room, his new bedroom. You thought this kid had just won a $1 zillion lottery. I mean, he was so excited. Well, you know, those memories really, they get you through those hot spots during the walk, I'll tell you. So this is, and every agency that's in here has similar stories. I just want to hold this up. This is the walk brochure for this year. These are available at all the Stop and Shops throughout the Cape, at the courtesy booth, and all the Stop and Shops throughout the Cape. And in this brochure, you can see there's a little message about each of the 11 agencies, tells you a little bit about who they are, has your list of the sponsors and all that. But if you buy the Stop and Shop, pick one up, and it'll give you a little bit of an idea of who the agencies are. This is the first year that Housing Assistance Corporation has joined our walk and stopped doing theirs. So I think that's a good sign. I like it when housing groups work together, because it really.
Can I add one?
Strength in numbers.
One aspect of
absolutely.
the Hetch group, the Harwich, has a unique situation in that one of the housing projects on Sisson Road also houses the Children's Center. So we, through the Housing with Love walk, the beneficiaries are not only the adults of these children, but the children themselves, the way Bob was just talking, because some of the people who live in the affordable housing project, their children are also enrolled in the Children's Center. And philosophically, one of the things that Hetch believed in was there was definitely alignment between providing housing, providing work, and providing education for early childhood. So we're very proud of that in Harwich, that we have the Children's Center. Thank you.
But I want to talk generally about the walk and how this all gets supported by individuals. There are three benefactors from this. One, because the agencies work together in the walk. That serves them well throughout the year. They develop friendships and relationships that there's not an agency in here that if needed help to solve a crisis situation, they could call any other agency and that agency would help them. So if they had a problem that was too expensive for them by themselves, they would get help from the others. So that's number one. The agencies synergize each other. The second one is obviously the families benefit from it by the assistance they get. And the third beneficiaries are the donors. This is a program that the donor can be assured the money's going where it's supposed to go. This is truly a people-to-people, neighbor-to-neighbor, helping out one another. It's kind of like we used to do it in this country years ago. And we've lost a lot of that. But this is truly a people-to-people program. And I would urge you to become part of it. Whether you give the money to Hetch or another agency, it really doesn't matter. What matters is that money comes to the issue of housing throughout the Cape. Sure, I'd like it to come to Hetch. That's one of the agencies we're involved in. But it's more important that you make a commitment and send whatever you can to the walk. And if you don't know who to send it to, you can send it to the Post Office Box 2192 in T-Ticket, Mass. 02536. And T-Ticket is the section of Falmouth. And we'd love to have your donation. We'd love to have your support. And as we walk that week, we'd love to have your good thoughts.
Robert, again, what's the date? For
July 13th, schoolhouse parking lot, checkbooks in hand. Or if you don't want to bring your checkbook, send it to the address that Bob just gave you. And at 11 o'clock, we'll start down the road, and we always pass 126 Bank Street, and I always look for water out there, but my wife doesn't bring any water out. I don't know. She says, you're on your own now. But we really do. We have a great time. And again, First Church, if They serve the best lunch ever.
Yeah, they really do.